Career Path Counseling and Consulting, bringing you another lovely video. And today's topic is going to be ghosting. I know. Ghosting is honestly one of my biggest pet peeves, okay? Now to be fair, I have to admit, communication is my strong suit. It is kind of my superpower, and so I have to recognize that not everyone is gifted in this area. And in fact, communication is really, really intimidating and really scary for a lot of people. So let's take a moment to validate that, but then let's get right into it. I made a little, where is it? Oh, there it is. I have like a whole bunch of papers over here to the side with notes of things because I am actually filming a couple things today. So anyway, back to this. So ghosting, for those that are fortunate enough not to have ever experienced it, is the practice of suddenly ending communication with someone without any explanation or notice. While the reasons for ghosting may vary depending on the individual and the situation, some possible reasons include... Okay, so here's where we get into fear. And let's just, before I read these, it's avoidance. It's avoidant behavior. So now does that mean, and ghosting can happen in business relationships. It can happen in friendships. It's not exclusive to romantic partnerships and those kinds of relationships. It can happen in any sort of connection. But we have to remember that it is an avoidant behavior and fear, right? What do people avoid? Well, they avoid things that make them uncomfortable. They avoid things that they fear. So fear of confrontation. Some people may be afraid of hurting the other person's feelings, facing conflict, and so they choose to avoid it altogether by ghosting. Okay. So, again, avoidance is like, okay, we avoid what we fear. And then also conflict, right? If somebody doesn't do conflict very well and they're afraid that you're going to get really upset, if you, going into some of these other things, lack of interest, right? Maybe the person's lost interest in the other person or the relationship. Maybe some people don't have the time or energy to put into maintaining a relationship or respond to messages, so they might choose to ignore them completely. Or if a person feels they're not compatible with the other person, or they have a different expectation from the relationship, they just may end the communication without explaining that, right? So, yeah, and it's about the other person, and that's the hard part. And that's the part that gets me, as I'm sitting there and I'm hearing these young people tell me, well, we were talking, I thought things were going good, and then they just ghosted me. And, it's like they just disappeared. And it's important. It's just important to recognize not everyone has good communication skills. Not everyone had healthy relationships modeled to them in childhood. There's always going to be an explanation for the behavior because all behavior serves a function. It's really vitally important that you not internalize that and make it about you. But why ghosting is awful, and please stop doing it if you're watching this and you've ghosted somebody or you're not communicating effectively and you're just like leaving them hanging or leaving them on red. It's not always intentional. It's not always malicious. It's just a sign of poor communication skills. And it's important for you to take care of yourself and not blame yourself for somebody else's actions. But that's tough to do. It stirs up a whole lot for people, and they tend to spiral with the thinking, which is where I come in with my clients on how to kind of fact check those thoughts and get them more in alignment with, we just don't have enough information to draw definitive conclusions because the other person in the equation is not providing that information. And so, I'm going to make another video about the two most common difficulties that the person on the other end of the ghosting experiences, and that is, trying to mind read, trying to interpret out of nothing, like what happened here, and then self-blame, right? Blaming themselves for what's happened. And so if you have been ghosted, I am so sorry. I myself have been ghosted, even in friend dynamics, and it's just okay. It's really important for you, if you have been ghosted, to understand that lack of communication, or what feels like disrespect, or whatever, has a lot more to do with the other person's inability to show up and effectively communicate what they're thinking and feeling. So, I know, my heart goes out to you. And, we just have to look at all, quote, failed relationships, or all mistakes that we perceive we have made in our connections as teachable moments and lessons moving forward. In the next video, I'm going to talk, like I said, a little bit more specifically about the experience of the person being ghosted and what they can do about it.